Daniel picked up my keys from beside my water glass and tossed them across the table. Celeste caught them against her chest. The brass M my aunt had given me flashed between her fingers. "She needs it more," my husband said. Lorraine clapped 3 times, light, delighted little claps, as though Daniel had just blown out her birthday candles for her. I looked from his empty hand to Celeste's red face. "Put those back." Celeste glanced at Daniel. Not at me. At Daniel. He smiled in the patient way he used when he wanted me to feel unreasonable before I'd said anything unreasonable. "It's for a couple of days, Mara." "You didn't ask me." "We're asking now." "No, you already gave her the keys." Around us, forks touched plates and ice shifted in glasses. The restaurant wasn't quiet, but our table had developed its own sealed silence. Lorraine reached for her wine. "Celeste's car situation is an emergency. You work from home half the week. Tomorrow isn't one of those days. You said your office is flexible. My office is flexible. My car isn't community property." Daniel's jaw tightened at the word "my." It was such a small movement I might have missed it if I hadn't spent 8 years learning which version of my husband was about to speak. Celeste laid the keys near her plate. For one hopeful second, I thought she was giving them back. Then she put her fingertips over them. "I can rent something," she said. Lorraine made a wounded sound. "With what they're charging at the airport, that's obscene." "It's Lorraine's birthday," Daniel said to me quietly. The sentence landed with the familiar weight of all the things Lorraine's birthday had apparently made necessary over the years. The expensive restaurant, the peonies flown in out of season, the morning I'd spent changing her spa reservation because she decided seaweed smelled judgmental. I looked at Celeste. "Where exactly do you need to go?" Her gaze skipped toward Lorraine, then Daniel. "Just around town. Appointments. I'm trying to get things settled." "Settled where?" "Mara." Daniel leaned closer. "Can you not interrogate her at the table?" "I'm trying to find out where my car is going." Lorraine lifted both palms. Her nails were painted a pale, expensive pink. "This is why people stop asking for help. Everything becomes a federal hearing." The server arrived carrying a chocolate torte with 1 candle in it. She slowed when she felt the air at our table, but Lorraine immediately turned toward her with a radiant smile. "Oh, beautiful." We sang. Daniel sang loudly enough for all of us. Celeste mouthed the words. I sat with my napkin in my lap and watched my keys disappear under the edge of hers. After Lorraine blew out the candle, she squeezed my wrist. "Let's have one pleasant evening." The first time she'd said that to me had been the night before my wedding. I withdrew my hand. "Celeste, I'm telling you I don't give you permission to drive my car." Daniel put down his fork. "You've had wine." "1 glass 2 hours ago." "So let Mom drive us home." "And Celeste takes my car?" That is the practical solution. For whom? Celeste stood. "I'm going to go." Lorraine's pleasant expression fractured. "Look what you've done." Celeste picked up her purse and my keys. Daniel rose halfway from his chair. "Text me when you get there," he said. "There. Not home. There." It was the first word all evening that sounded accidental. Celeste paused, and I saw the same realization pass over her face. Then she said, "Of course," and walked away. Through the tall front windows, I watched the lights flash on my Subaru. She adjusted the driver's seat before starting it. She knew where the switch was without searching. Daniel sat down. "Where is there?" I asked. He took a drink of water. "Her place." "You said get there, not get home." "For God's sake, Mara." Lorraine cut the tip from her torte. "Daniel, give your wife some cake. Blood sugar can make anyone dramatic." I stood so quickly, my chair struck the wall behind me. Daniel followed me to the coat check. "You're making this bigger than it is." "You took my car. I lent your car to someone who needs it. She is your ex-wife. She's a person I was married to, yes. That doesn't make her radioactive. It should make asking me more important." The coat check attendant appeared with Lorraine's camel-colored wrap. He held it between us, uncertain which angry woman it belonged to. Daniel lowered his voice. Celeste's rental fell through. She has things to take care of this weekend, and Mom asked if we could help. I knew what you'd say. That stopped me. Not because it surprised me, because he said it like a defense. You knew I'd say no, I said. I knew you'd make it personal. You gave your ex-wife my car because you knew I wouldn't agree. I knew you would eventually agree once you got past the optics. The attendant turned away, still holding the wrap. I stared at my husband. He had a tiny streak of chocolate near his cuff. I had watched him shave that morning while I stood in the bathroom doorway, reminding him to call the pharmacy about Lorraine's prescription. He'd kissed the top of my head and asked if his blue shirt looked too corporate for dinner. Now he was looking at me as if he had already endured this argument and won it in private. Lorraine joined us. Are we ready? Her happiness had returned. It always did when Daniel and I were divided. She wore it discreetly like good perfume. Where is Celeste going this weekend? I asked her. Lorraine blinked once. She just came back to town. I imagine she's going everywhere. In my car. She'll be careful. You didn't answer me. Daniel took our coats from the attendant and pressed mine into my arms. Enough. Lorraine's sedan smelled like leather conditioner and the rose lozenges she kept in the console. Daniel drove. Lorraine sat in front because she said riding in back made her nauseated, which had somehow never been true in my Subaru. I sat behind my husband and watched his eyes in the mirror. He did not look at me. On the way to Lorraine's condo, she explained that Celeste's business partner had abandoned her with unpaid invoices and a storage unit full of display furniture. The story changed each time Lorraine told it. A month ago, the partner had been incompetent. 2 weeks ago, predatory. Tonight he had become a criminal who had practically stolen the company. Celeste was always too trusting, Lorraine said. Daniel gave a humorless laugh. That's one word for it. Lorraine swatted his arm. It was an old gesture between them, affectionate and rehearsed. I turned toward the window. My face floated over dark storefronts and traffic lights. Beneath it, I could see Daniel's hands at 10 and 2 on his mother's steering wheel. Lorraine talked about brunch. She mentioned a reservation at the Lake Remy Inn, then corrected herself so abruptly the sentence seemed to trip. At the what? I asked. A brunch place. You said inn. It has a restaurant. Who's having brunch there? People, Mara. People have brunch. Daniel's eyes lifted to the mirror at last. Drop it. There was fear in his face, just a flicker, gone before I could decide what kind. We left Lorraine under the bright canopy of her building. She leaned into Daniel's open window and said, "Call me when you get home." Then she looked past him at me. "I'm sorry your feelings got hurt." The sedan was quiet after she shut the door. Daniel pulled away from the curb. "Don't. I haven't said anything. You're storing it up. Apparently that's the only thing I'm allowed to store. Your ex has my car, and your mother has everything else." He exhaled through his nose. "You want me to turn around and ruin Mom's birthday because Celeste borrowed a Subaru? I want you to tell me the truth." I did. "You said Celeste needs it around town. Your mother accidentally mentioned a hotel 40 miles away. It's a restaurant. You're both terrible liars. We're not lying. We..." He changed lanes too quickly and the tires slapped over the reflectors. When we reached our townhouse, I got out while the engine was still running. Daniel lowered the window. "I'm taking Mom's car back," he said. "I'll get a ride home." "Of course you will." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means women keep handing you keys." He looked like he wanted to answer, but the sedan behind him honked. He drove off. Inside, the house was exactly as we'd left it. One lamp on in the living room, Daniel's coffee mug in the sink, a grocery list held to the refrigerator by a magnet from a vacation Lorraine had invited herself on. The green glass dish sat on the entry table. My Aunt June had made it in a studio behind her house, shaping the rim so it folded inward like a wave. She'd given it to me when I moved into my first apartment. "A place for what brings you home," she'd said. That morning, I had dropped my everyday keys into it after getting groceries. The spare Subaru key had been there too, under Daniel's battered gym fob. Now the dish held only the gym fob and 2 pennies. I touched the cool glass. Daniel had taken the spare before dinner. I opened the tracking app on my phone. The Subaru was too old to have a built-in locator, but the insurance company's safe driving sensor sometimes recorded recent trips. The last location showed the restaurant parking lot at 8:17. No current trip appeared. I called Celeste. It rang 6 times before going to voicemail. "Bring my car back tonight," I said. Whatever Daniel told you, I did not agree to this. I called Daniel next. He rejected the call. A minute later, he texted, "Driving. We'll discuss at home. We'll discuss." As if discussion were the thing he hadn't already removed. I went upstairs and changed out of the dress Lorraine had called surprisingly flattering. In the closet, Daniel's overnight bag was missing from the top shelf. I stood on my toes and ran my hand across the empty space to make sure. Then I checked the laundry room, the guest room, the trunk of the winter clothes we never unpacked properly. The bag was gone. So were his brown weekend shoes and the navy quarter zip Lorraine bought him every Christmas in a slightly different shade. My phone rang downstairs. I hurried so fast I caught my shoulder against the banister. The number was local but unfamiliar. "Hello. Is this Mara Ellison?" "Yes. This is Pete Halpern from Halpern Auto Repair on Garner. Sorry to call so late." I knew the name. Halpern had replaced my rear brakes in March and fixed the air conditioning compressor the summer before that. What happened? There was a pause filled with office sounds, a drawer shutting, paper sliding. "Your Subaru was brought in by Marshall Towing about 20 minutes ago. It's been in a collision." I gripped the edge of the entry table. The green dish shifted under my hand. "Is anyone hurt?" I'm told the driver and passenger were both checked at the scene. I don't have medical details. The tow operator gave me your registration and insurance card, and your VIN pulled up your service account. My husband's ex-wife was driving. Another pause. More careful this time. "The woman here says she had permission. She didn't have mine." "I understand. That's why I called the registered owner before authorizing anything. The front end is in rough shape and there may be suspension damage. I need your approval even to begin the teardown." "Don't." "All right. Don't repair it. Don't release it. Don't let my husband authorize anything. Your account only lists you." My knees weakened with such sudden relief that I sat on the bottom stair. "Where did it happen?" Marshall said near the west turnoff for Lake Remy, concrete divider by the hotel road. Weather's dry, so I couldn't tell you how. Lake Remy. I looked up the stairs toward the empty space in our closet. "Who's at the shop now?" "The driver, Ms. Vale, a tow operator. The passenger left in a ride share before I got here." "Lorraine Ellison." I didn't get her name. The front lock turned. Daniel stepped inside carrying his mother's car keys. His expression changed when he saw my face, then changed again when he noticed the phone against my ear. Pete said, "Miss Ellison, are you still there?" "I'm here." Daniel closed the door softly. "Who is that?" I held his gaze. "The repair shop," I said. "They called me after Celeste crashed my car." His first response was silence. His second was worse. He shut his eyes and whispered, "Damn it, Celeste." He opened his eyes. "Is she okay?" I put the phone back to my ear. "Pete, I'll be there in 30 minutes." Daniel crossed the entryway. "Mara, wait. Please keep the car inside if you can," I said. "We already rolled it into Bay 3, Pete told me. "The front passenger wheel isn't sitting right. I'll lock the keys in the office." "Both sets?" Daniel stopped moving. Pete rustled something near the receiver. "There are 2 Subaru fobs here, yes." I looked at the green glass dish and its 2 pennies. "Lock both of them up." When I ended the call, Daniel was staring at the floor between us. "You gave Celeste the spare before dinner. She needed to put her things in the car." "Her things?" "A suitcase, a couple of boxes. So the keys you threw across the table were theater." "No." You had already given her access to my car. I gave her the spare in case you left early. For a second, neither of us spoke. He seemed to hear himself only after the words were out. His mouth opened, then closed again. In case I left early, I repeated, because you weren't happy she was there. I didn't know she would be there. Mom invited her at the last minute. Stop lying to me one sentence at a time. I stepped around him and reached for my coat. He put one hand against the closet door, not touching me, just blocking it. You've been drinking. I had one glass of wine at 6:30. I'll drive you. In your mother's car? Yes. Is she aware you've lent that out too? His face hardened. This isn't funny. You're right. I'm having a terrible time. I tugged the closet door. He moved his hand. While I put on my coat, he called Celeste. The call went straight to voicemail. He tried again, then Lorraine. Mom, call me back. Are you all right? He listened, pacing toward the kitchen. Yes, I know about the car. Where are you? A beat passed. Why did you leave Celeste there? His voice dropped when Lorraine answered. No, don't go back. I'll handle it. That phrase again. He'll handle it. Meaning the men would speak, the women would be soothed, and eventually I would complete whichever forms their handling produced. My rideshare app found a driver 9 minutes away. Daniel ended his call. Mom bruised her shoulder. She's shaken up. I'm glad she's okay. That's all? What would you like me to do? You could sound concerned. I asked about both of them before I asked about the car. I didn't hear that. You weren't home. He flinched. I zipped my coat. Were you planning to stay at Lake Remy? No. Then why is your overnight bag gone? He looked up toward the bedroom as if the bag might reappear if he waited. I packed some things for Mom. Your shoes? There's a dinner tomorrow. For your mother's birthday. Yes. At a hotel. At the hotel restaurant. Who's going? Some people we know. Who is we? He pressed his fingers against his forehead. Friends from years ago. People Mom hasn't seen in a while. People you and Celeste knew when you were married. It isn't like that. What is it like? It's a group dinner, that's all. And I wasn't invited because you hate those stories. You sit there feeling excluded, then I pay for it for 3 days. The cruelty was in how reasonable he made it sound. He had excluded me to spare himself my response to being excluded. Headlights moved across the front window. My ride is here. Daniel grabbed Lorraine's keys from the entry table. Cancel it. I said I'll drive. I heard you. Mara, I don't want to be trapped in a car with you. He lowered his voice. Do not go down there and make this uglier. I picked up my purse. Your ex-wife is standing beside my wrecked Subaru with 2 sets of my keys. I'm going to see exactly how ugly it is. Halpern Auto Repair occupied a brick building between a tire warehouse and a closed florist. The office lights were on, and Pete Halpern stood behind the counter in a navy work shirt with his name stitched over the pocket. I recognized him from earlier visits, though we had never exchanged more than a few sentences. Celeste sat in one of the molded plastic chairs, holding a paper cup of water between both hands. Her makeup had worn away around her eyes. A red mark crossed her collarbone where the seat belt had caught her. She stood when I entered. Mara, are you hurt? Just sore? Lorraine? Same. She wanted to go home. Of course she did. Lorraine liked the center of a crisis, not its fluorescent aftermath. Pete came around the counter. He was a broad man with gray in his beard and the careful, low-energy manner of someone accustomed to giving expensive news. I'm sorry about your vehicle, he said. Do you want to see it? The Subaru sat under white shop lights with its hood buckled upward. The passenger side headlight was gone. The bumper hung at one corner, and the front wheel tilted inward with an almost human look of pain. There were peonies scattered across the back seat, Lorraine's birthday flowers. I had ordered them, picked them up that afternoon, trimmed the stems at home, and arranged them in the blue ceramic vase she liked. Now loose petals clung to the upholstery beside a silver garment bag and 2 bottles of wine. I walked around the front slowly. The airbags didn't deploy, Pete said. From what I can see, the angle took most of it low. I won't know the full damage without getting it on the lift. What did she hit? Concrete divider at the turnoff. Tow operator said the car climbed it. Celeste remained near the bay door. I reached for my phone, she said. I looked at her. Lorraine's phone was ringing in the console. She asked me to hand it to her. I looked down for half a second. You were driving. I know. Did Daniel tell you I agreed to this? Her eyes shifted to Pete, who took the hint and returned to the office. Daniel said you'd be irritated about the dinner, she said, but that the car was fine. The car was fine? That using it was fine. I told you at the restaurant it wasn't. You told me after my bags were already loaded and Lorraine had spent the whole week arranging everything. What was I supposed to do? Give me my keys. You were making a scene. You took my car anyway. Her grip tightened around the cup. Daniel said it was technically both of yours. The registration says otherwise. I didn't inspect the registration before I drove it. No, you inspected my husband. Her expression sharpened. For the first time that night, I saw why Lorraine loved her. Celeste didn't retreat when cornered. She found a cleaner weapon. You think I wanted to ask him? She said. You think it was enjoyable listening to him explain what you would and wouldn't allow? He offered the car because Lorraine didn't want me arriving at the hotel in a rental. Why? Because she told everyone Daniel and I were driving up together. The paper cup crackled in her hand. I stared at her. Daniel was going with you. That was the plan. Lorraine and I were going tonight. Daniel was coming tomorrow after he smoothed things over with you. The bay seemed to contract around us. Smoothed what over? The fact that you weren't coming. She looked embarrassed now, which was somehow more painful than defiance. Lorraine said it would be awkward, she continued. These are people from before. She said you'd agreed to let Daniel have the weekend with old friends. I didn't know there was a weekend. Celeste shut her eyes. A car door slammed outside. Daniel entered the shop calling my name. He found us beside the Subaru and slowed. Celeste threw the paper cup into a trash barrel. It bounced off the rim and landed on the floor. You told me she knew, she said. I said she knew about the dinner. You said she was fine with the car. I said I would deal with the car. That's not the same thing. Apparently, it is to him, I said. Daniel ignored me and looked at Celeste's shoulder. Are you sure you're okay? She pulled her coat closed. Don't. I was worried. You promised there wouldn't be a problem. Mara is upset. That doesn't mean... Stop explaining me while I'm standing here, I said. Pete appeared in the office doorway. I need to close up. I followed him to the counter. He placed the 2 key rings in a clear plastic envelope. My brass M was pressed against the spare's plain metal ring. I'll need your signature, acknowledging the vehicle is being stored pending authorization, he said. Storage starts tomorrow night. Call your insurer first thing. Daniel reached for the form. Pete kept his hand on it. The customer is Ms. Ellison. My wife and I share expenses. That may be. The registration and service account are in her name. Daniel looked at me. We're not paying storage while you make a point. The point is that it stays here until I understand what I'm liable for. We call insurance tomorrow, approve the repairs, and move on. You can move on. The car stays. Celeste spoke from behind us. I'll pay the deductible. Daniel turned. You don't need to do that. She laughed once. Of course you'd say that. It isn't your car. I signed the form. Pete locked the envelope in a drawer and walked us to the door. Celeste ordered a ride without asking anyone for help. Before she left, she looked at me. I am sorry about the car. It wasn't enough, but it was the first honest sentence anyone had offered me all night. Daniel drove us home in silence. I watched the dark highway and thought about the peonies on the back seat, their stems crushed under Lorraine's garment bag. At home, Daniel went straight to the kitchen and poured himself water. I was going to tell you, he said. When? Tomorrow morning. After they were already at the hotel. Yes, because then you couldn't turn it into a fight with Mom. You mean I couldn't stop it? You wouldn't have stopped anything. You would have made everyone miserable. and then told me to go. Then why not ask? He set the glass down too hard. Because being married to you shouldn't mean requesting written permission every time my mother needs something. This wasn't something your mother needed. She wanted to spend the weekend pretending you were still married to Celeste. That is insane. She told people you and Celeste were arriving together. She likes a certain image, and you protect it. I protect her feelings. I waited. He looked away first. What do you protect for me? I asked. His face changed, not with tenderness, but exhaustion. I can't do this at midnight. I went upstairs and took his pillow from our bed. I carried it down to the guest room and placed it on the folded quilt. He stood in the doorway. Seriously? I need space. This is my house, too. Then sleep on the couch. He yanked the pillow back up. We'll discuss it tomorrow when you're not performing. That word followed me into the bedroom. I locked the door. At 7 the next morning, Lorraine's pharmacy called to say her automatic payment had failed. The card on file had expired 2 months earlier. I had updated every recurring charge except that one because Lorraine had promised to call with her new card number. I stared at the pharmacy's message while Daniel showered down the hall. Then I forwarded it to him. Your mother's prescription needs payment information. His answer came immediately. Can you handle it? I'm getting ready for work. I typed, no. 3 dots appeared, vanished, and appeared again. Mara, this is medication. Then you should call her now. I opened our banking app. Lorraine's streaming services, grocery membership, salon deposits, and monthly garage fee all came from the joint account I managed. Each had begun as a temporary convenience. Each had stayed because canceling would have required an argument. I downloaded 12 months of statements. Daniel came into the bedroom wearing his blue shirt, his hair damp. What are you doing? Finding out how much we spend on your mother. Now? She just reminded me. He saw the banking app and reached for my phone. I pulled it away. Don't. We have an insurance claim to file. I know. So call them. You call your mother's pharmacy. I'll call my insurer. Our insurer. The policy I opened, on the car registered to me. His expression settled into something cold and competent. Be careful, Mara. If you start dividing everything into yours and mine, you may not like where it ends. I looked at the empty space in the green glass dish. I think, I said, that's exactly where we already are. He gave a short laugh. You want to throw away 8 years because I lent someone a car. You keep calling it lending because taking sounds worse. It was one bad decision. It took planning, packing, lying, and a seating chart. You're enjoying this. That was the first thing he said that truly surprised me. He pointed at the statements on my screen. The righteous anger, the locked door, sending me instructions about my own mother. You finally have a reason to treat everyone like they're beneath you. I set my phone on the dresser. You should leave for work. You should call the insurance company. I'm going to. He stood there another moment waiting for me to soften the dismissal. When I didn't, he took his laptop bag and left without saying goodbye. The insurance representative's name was Dana. She had a calm voice and a keyboard loud enough that I could hear every letter of my disaster being entered into a system. I explained that Celeste had driven without my permission. Dana asked whether she had stolen the keys. No, my husband gave them to her. Is your husband a member of your household? Yes. Is he listed on the policy? As an authorized driver, not an owner. More typing. Did he have regular access to the vehicle? He drove it occasionally. Had Ms. Vale ever driven it before? Not with my knowledge. Did you tell Ms. Vale directly that she couldn't drive the vehicle? At the restaurant, in front of witnesses. And she drove it afterward? Yes. Dana took a breath that sounded almost personal. I'm opening a coverage review. Permission can be complicated when a household member gives another driver access to a covered vehicle. We'll need recorded statements from you, your husband, and Ms. Vale. How long does that take? Usually several business days, sometimes longer. The shop is going to charge storage. Keep your receipts. I can't promise reimbursement until the review is complete. I looked at the clock. I had a staff meeting in 40 minutes and no car. If I authorize repairs, does that affect the review? You would be accepting responsibility for the repair contract. Coverage remains a separate determination. So either I pay storage while you decide, or I agree to repairs I may have to pay for myself. I understand that's frustrating. Frustrating was a drawer that stuck in damp weather. This felt like being pushed onto railroad tracks and offered a choice of direction. Dana gave me the claim number and asked me not to discuss anyone else's statement with them before they called. Then she added more gently, "Take pictures of the vehicle before any work begins." At Halpern, Pete texted me 18 photographs. The closer ones were worse. Broken clips, crushed metal, fluid on concrete. In one image, the registration lay open on his desk beside the 2 key rings. My brass M rested against the plain spare fob like evidence. I forwarded the claim number to Pete and authorized him to move the Subaru onto the lift for an assessment, but not to order parts. The inspection itself would cost $185. Storage would be $60 a day, after 5 that evening. My ride to the office cost $32 before tip. I worked as an operations manager for a small commercial design firm, which meant my days were spent preventing expensive problems caused by people who considered details someone else's personality trait. I found conference rooms when meetings overlapped, negotiated copier contracts, chased invoices, and knew which electrician would answer after 4 on a Friday. By 10:30, I had corrected a furniture order, found a missing payment, and arranged lunch for 14 people. Then I opened the personal spreadsheet I used for our household and created a new tab labeled Lorraine. Her garage fee was $140 a month. The streaming bundle was $63, grocery delivery $35. The salon charges varied because every appointment required a deposit. The phone line cost $48 before data. I had also placed her Lake Remy reservation deposit on my card 6 weeks earlier because she said the restaurant required a guarantee and she couldn't find her reading glasses. The confirmation email listed 2 rooms. I had never opened the attachment. One room was under Lorraine's name. The other was under Daniel's. I called the hotel. A woman named Beth confirmed that the dinner reservation remained for 12 guests that evening. Both rooms were still active. "Can I remove my card?" I asked. "The deposit has already been processed. We'll need another card at check-in for incidentals and the remaining room balance. I won't be checking in. I can note that on the reservation. Please note that I do not authorize any additional charges." I sent Daniel and Lorraine the hotel number, the reservation code, and a single sentence. "My card will not cover tonight's dinner, rooms, or incidentals." Lorraine called before I could lock my phone. "Mara, this has gotten out of hand." I turned my chair toward the wall of fabric samples behind my desk. "Did you pay for your prescription?" Daniel did, after making me feel like a burden. "Then it's handled." "I have never considered you a burden." It was expertly done. She could rearrange the furniture in a conversation before I noticed I was sitting in the wrong chair. "My shoulder is purple," she said. "Celeste has barely slept. Daniel is distraught, and you're canceling my birthday." "The hotel says the dinner is still booked. People are already coming. Then you should enjoy it." "How can I enjoy anything while my family is being torn apart?" I pressed 2 fingers between my eyes. "Lorraine, why did you tell your friends Daniel and Celeste were coming together?" "Oh, for heaven's sake. They were arriving in the same car." "You arranged the car." I found a practical solution. "You arranged for my husband and his ex-wife to arrive together at a weekend I was paying to reserve and wasn't invited to. The deposit was $100, Mara. Let's not turn generosity into martyrdom. Put your own card on the rooms." Her voice cooled. "Daniel warned me you might become vindictive. Then he prepared you. I am coming over tonight. We need to speak face to face. No, this is too important for one of your little emails. Don't come to my house. It is my son's house. It's our rented townhouse and your name isn't on the lease." She went silent. That silence gave me more satisfaction than I wanted it to. "I'll call you when I'm calmer," she said. "Before you do, find a new payment method for your garage, phone, streaming services, grocery membership, and salon account. I'll send you the transfer information." "You would disconnect my phone?" "I'll give you 30 days to move the number." "I see." I could hear the injury settling into place, being polished for later use. "Yes," I said. "I think you do." At lunch, I opened a new checking account and redirected my paycheck. I left the existing joint balance untouched. Then I calculated my half of the rent, utilities, insurance, and groceries, and scheduled transfers to cover them. It felt ugly and clinical. It also felt like finding the floor in a dark room. Daniel texted it too. "Mom says you threatened to shut off her phone." I sent him the transfer instructions. His reply came a minute later. "This is financial abuse." I stared at the words until they lost shape. Then I answered. "Giving her 30 days to pay for her own phone is not abuse." He called. I let it ring. My boss, Anita, appeared at the edge of my desk holding a stack of carpet samples. She was a compact woman with silver curls and an unsettling ability to notice distress without performing concern. "Do you need to go home?" she asked. "I need a car." Those aren't always the same thing. I laughed before I could stop myself. She placed the samples down. "Take the pool vehicle tonight. Bring it back tomorrow morning." "I can't use the company van for personal errands." "You're driving it home and back. If you happen to buy toothpaste on the way, I'll survive the scandal." The van smelled like cardboard and lemon cleaner. One rear door had our firm's logo across it in navy vinyl. It was not subtle transportation, but when I pulled into our driveway that evening, Daniel was standing at the living room window, and seeing his expression felt like a small repayment. He met me at the door. "Where did you get that?" "Work." "You involved your boss." "I asked for a ride home, Daniel. I didn't issue a press release." He followed me into the kitchen. The counters were covered with takeout containers, unopened mail, and the breakfast dishes he had left behind. "What exactly are you trying to accomplish?" he asked. I put my purse down. "Tonight, dinner. I mean, with the accounts. I'm paying my share of our household expenses. Your mother's expenses are now her responsibility. We agreed to help her. We agreed to pay her garage for 3 months after her rent increased. That was 14 months ago. You never complained." "I did. You called it nickel and diming. So you secretly resented her." "It wasn't secret. You just benefited from pretending not to hear me." He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "Dana called. I waited. I told her I gave Celeste permission. I assumed you would. What did you expect me to do, lie? The audacity was so complete, I almost admired it. You told Dana the truth because it protects Celeste. It protects the claim. If I pretend she stole the car, they could deny everything." "I'm not pretending anything. You left the keys on a restaurant table, beside my water glass, in public. Are keys abandoned whenever they're visible?" He rubbed his face. "This is what I mean. You want to argue wording while the car racks up storage fees. The car is getting assessed. And then, I'll decide. We decide. You made the first decision without me. So now you make every decision without me? Is that the marriage you want?" "No, it's the marriage you demonstrated." His phone buzzed. He checked it, and something passed through his expression. "Celeste?" I asked. "It's Mom." Then answer. "She and Celeste are arguing." "About? The hotel? Why?" He looked toward the sink. "Celeste isn't going." I pulled a plate from the cabinet. "Good for her." "Mom says you poisoned her against us." "I spoke to Celeste for 5 minutes at the shop." "Well, she's now saying I misled her." "You did. I simplified the situation. You removed the part where I said no. I thought once the car was gone, you'd let it go." There it was, not an apology, an operating principle. He watched me microwave leftover pasta. The dinner's probably canceled anyway. That must be hard for your mother. You're enjoying that, too. I took my plate out. I'm enjoying not fixing it. He slept in the guest room again. The next morning, Pete called with the estimate. Best case, just over $9,000, he said. That includes the suspension, bodywork, cooling components, sensors, and paint. But I can't promise we won't find frame damage when we strip the front. The Subaru was worth perhaps $16,000 before the crash. Do you think they'll total it? If insurance covers it, that's their calculation. If they don't, it's yours. Dana called an hour later. They were delaying the coverage decision. Ms. Vale says your husband gave her 2 sets of keys and told her the household had agreed, she said. Your husband confirms he gave permission and says he reasonably believed he could do so. Your statement conflicts with that. I told Celeste directly that she couldn't drive. She acknowledges that, but says she believed it was a disagreement between spouses over a shared vehicle. It isn't shared. The policy may still extend permissive use coverage based on access granted by a listed household driver. We're sending the file for additional review. How long? I can't give you a firm date. My rides, inspection, and storage had already passed $300. Daniel's argument was becoming more expensive by the hour, which was exactly why it worked. That evening, I authorized Pete to keep the Subaru one more day. At home, Daniel had printed the repair estimate and spread it across the dining table. We need to approve this, he said. With what money? Savings. Our emergency fund. This is an emergency. Created by you, your mother, and Celeste. My mother wasn't driving. She arranged the trip. You cannot invoice people for bad ideas. Then I'm not paying the invoice. His chair scraped back. You think you can hold everyone hostage because your name is on one document? I think my name is on the bill. We built those savings together, and you promised them to fix a car you gave away without asking. He pushed the estimate toward me. If you don't authorize repairs tomorrow, I'll do it myself. Pete won't accept your signature. I'll move the car somewhere that will. You can't release it. His face flushed. Listen to yourself. A knock sounded at the door. Lorraine entered before either of us reached it. She still had the emergency key I'd asked Daniel to get back 6 months earlier. Her shoulder was supported by a soft gray sling. In one hand, she carried a bakery box. In the other, an envelope. I brought pie, she said, and a solution. I looked at Daniel. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Lorraine set the envelope on the green glass dish. I'll pay the deductible. In exchange, Mara, you'll tell the insurance company Celeste had your permission. No, you haven't heard the rest. There shouldn't be a rest. Lorraine's smile thinned. Celeste cannot afford a liability fight. Daniel cannot afford to have this destroy his marriage, and you cannot afford $9,000 in repairs. I won't lie to the insurer. You don't have to lie. You only have to remember that a wife's permission can pass through her husband. I picked up the envelope and held it out to her. She did not take it. You've always wanted proof that you matter more than Celeste, she said. Isn't Daniel choosing this marriage proof enough? I looked at him. He stood beside the dining table with the repair estimate under one hand, waiting for me to rescue the version of him he preferred. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from Celeste. Before I could open it, Lorraine reached past me and lifted her emergency key from her purse. You've made your point, she said. Now be sensible. I took the key from her fingers. No, I said. Now I'm changing the lock. Lorraine stared at my closed hand. You cannot change the locks on Daniel's house. He'll have a key. You won't. I have had a key to every home my son has lived in. Then this will be memorable. Daniel stepped between us. Nobody is changing anything tonight. The locksmith can come tomorrow. Lorraine turned to him. Are you going to let her speak to me this way? He looked at me, and I saw the appeal forming, the slight lift of his eyebrows, the private request to be reasonable so he wouldn't have to be brave. I opened Celeste's message. I need you to see what he told me before dinner. 4 screenshots followed. The first was from a group thread with Daniel and Lorraine. Daniel, put your suitcase in the Subaru before we go in. I have the spare. Celeste, has Mara actually said yes? Daniel, if I ask before, she'll say no because she hates anything involving Mom. Once it's done, she'll calm down. Lorraine, she won't embarrass us at my birthday dinner. The final message had been sent by Daniel 2 minutes before he tossed my keys. Daniel, follow my lead. I read them twice. Celeste had not been innocent. She had known enough to ask. Then she had accepted an answer designed to quiet her conscience. But Daniel had put the whole thing in writing because he was that certain the 3 of them understood me better than I understood myself. I turned my phone toward him. His face drained. Lorraine read over his shoulder. That was a private family conversation. Which family? I asked. She stiffened. Daniel took the phone from my hand. She sent these to you? I pulled it back. That's what concerns you? She's trying to protect herself. So were you. I was trying to get through one weekend by making my no irrelevant. Lorraine picked up the envelope. Celeste is panicking. She wants someone else to pay for her mistake. She made it easier for you, I said. That isn't the same as creating it. Enough. Daniel slapped one palm against the table. All of you are acting like I planned a bank robbery. I borrowed a car. You planned around my refusal, I said. I planned around your temperament. The room went still. Lorraine's gaze moved from him to me. For once, even she seemed to recognize that he had chosen the wrong words. I unlocked the front door. Lorraine, take your pie and go home. She left the bakery box on the counter. I came here to save your marriage. You came to buy my statement. I offered to help, with money from an envelope in exchange for a lie. Her mouth tightened. You will regret humiliating Daniel over this. He did it himself. She put on her coat with one hand, struggling with the sling. Daniel moved to help her. She shrugged him off. At the door, she looked at the emergency key in my palm. My own son, she said, and I need permission to enter his home. Yes, I said. That is how doors work. After she left, Daniel stood with his back to me. You enjoyed that? No, but I'm done being ashamed when saying no makes someone uncomfortable. He turned. Celeste knew exactly what she was doing. So did your mother. So did you. Yet somehow I'm the villain. You're my husband. Your part hurts more. That reached him. His face loosened for a moment, and I saw the man who once drove across town at midnight because I had left my work badge in a restaurant. The man who learned how I took my coffee and still got it wrong when he was distracted. The man I had loved was there, but he had always been there. That was the problem. He had not disappeared. He had simply decided I could be overruled when loving me became inconvenient. I didn't sleep with her, he said. I know. I don't want Celeste back. I know that too. Then why are you treating this like an affair? Because you made an agreement with 2 other women about what I was allowed to own, know, and refuse. He sat at the table. What do you want me to say? The truth, without making me drag it out of you. He stared at the repair estimate. I wanted one weekend where Mom was happy, he said. I wanted to see people who remembered me before everything got so complicated. Celeste fit into that group. You didn't. The honesty hurt, but it was clean. I could have fit, I said. You never gave me the chance. You hate them. I hate who you become around them. He flinched, then nodded once, as if I had confirmed something for him. There, you see? Yes, I said, I do. The locksmith came the next afternoon with the landlord's approval. Daniel received a new key because his name was on the lease. I received the other copies. Lorraine's access ended with a 4-digit invoice I paid from my individual account. Celeste amended her insurance statement. She did not claim I had agreed. She admitted she knew I objected at the restaurant, but believed Daniel's permission was enough because he had already given her the spare. The screenshots went into the claim file. Dana warned me they did not guarantee an outcome. For 9 days, the Subaru remained at Halpern. I drove the company van twice, took the bus when the schedule worked, and spent more than $200 on rides. Daniel offered his mother's sedan on the 4th day. "She says you can use it," he told me. "I'm not borrowing anything from Lorraine. You're choosing to waste money. I'm choosing not to owe her." At home, the small tasks began failing in plain sight. Lorraine missed her grocery delivery because nobody updated her payment. Daniel spent 40 minutes on the phone moving her number to a new plan, then complained that the representative was incompetent. The hotel charged Lorraine for one room after the cancellation deadline. The birthday dinner shrank from 12 people to 5, and Celeste did not attend. I did not fix any of it. I cooked for myself, washed what I used, paid my half, and answered direct questions with direct answers. The silence that grew between Daniel and me was less dramatic than our fights. It was also harder for him to blame on my tone. Dana called on the 10th morning. "We're extending collision coverage," she said. "The vehicle is insured and your husband was a listed driver with regular household access. The permissive use issue does not void the physical damage coverage in this case." I sat down at my desk. The relief arrived mixed with anger. Daniel's authority had been enough to complicate my refusal and enough to keep the policy in force. Both things could be true. What isn't covered? Your $1,000 deductible. The shop's storage charges above the period we consider reasonable. Your transportation costs exceed the policy limit because rental coverage wasn't selected. The uncovered amount came to just under $2,000 depending on what Pete found after teardown. The company may seek recovery from Ms. Vale for some costs, Dana added. That process is separate and may take time. I authorized the repair. Then I called Celeste. "I'll pay the deductible," she said before I finished explaining. "I can't do all of it today, but I'll pay it." "There are storage charges, too. Send me the total." Lorraine was in the car for a trip she organized. "I know." She offered to pay only if I changed my statement. Celeste was quiet. "She told me Daniel had cleared everything with you," she said. "Then at dinner, when you said no, she told me you always did that first and came around later. You still drove away." "I know." There was no defense after it. I respected her more for leaving the silence alone. "I want everyone at Halpern tomorrow at 5, I said. "We settle what isn't covered before the shop orders parts." Daniel protested when I told him. "Pete is a mechanic, not a mediator." "Then this should be easy. We pay him." "We can pay from savings and let insurance chase Celeste." "No. You're dragging Mom into this to punish her." "She can decline. Then I'll decide what happens next with the information I have." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not protecting anyone from a consequence they helped create." At 5, the 4 of us stood in Halpern's office beneath a calendar advertising snow tires. Pete had itemized the deductible, inspection, storage, and estimated rental overage. Celeste had brought a cashier's check for $700 and a written schedule for the balance she could pay over 2 months. Lorraine brought her purse. Daniel brought opinions. "This is absurd," he said after reading the total. "We have the money." "Mara and I have an arrangement," Celeste said. "You can't afford this." "You don't know what I can afford." "I know your business failed." Her head came up. "My partnership failed." "You've repeated your mother's version so often you think it's yours." Lorraine exhaled. "Can we please avoid another scene?" Celeste turned on her. "You told people Daniel and I might reconcile." Daniel looked at Lorraine. "What?" "It was a misunderstanding." "You told Nina Archer we were coming to the hotel to see if there was still a spark," Celeste said. "Nina called me after the crash." Lorraine adjusted the strap of her purse. "Nina dramatizes everything." "You told me this was about old friends," Daniel said. "It was. And if people drew conclusions, perhaps that says something." "It says you lied to all of us," Celeste replied. Lorraine's eyes flashed. "I was trying to remind Daniel of who he used to be." "Married to me?" Celeste said. "That man wasn't very good at it either." Pete studied his keyboard with heroic concentration. Daniel stepped back as if she had struck him. "I defended you." You offered me Mara's car because it made you look generous with something that cost you nothing. That silenced him. I slid the itemization toward Lorraine. Celeste is accepting the driver's share. The rest came from the hotel trip, extra storage, and a decision you helped arrange. You can pay it, or I'll keep the envelope you brought and document what it was for. Lorraine looked at the numbers, then at Daniel. You said insurance would cover everything. I said it should. You said Mara would calm down. I thought she would. The alliance broke so quietly, I almost missed it. Lorraine saw, perhaps for the first time, that Daniel's confidence was not protection. It was a bill he expected a woman nearby to pay. She took out her wallet. Pete ran 2 cards and accepted Celeste's check. I paid the small remainder tied to my own policy limit. Then I signed the repair authorization. Outside, Daniel followed me to the company van. I would have paid, he said, with our money. It's still our money. For now. He looked at me. What does that mean? Our lease ends in 6 weeks. I won't renew it. His face emptied. I had found the apartment 3 days earlier, a 1-bedroom 12 minutes from my office on foot. The kitchen was narrow, the view was a brick wall, and the entry table would fit beneath the front window. You signed something? Today. You planned this while I was trying to save us. You were trying to end the inconvenience. He touched the van door before I could open it. I'll put you first. Even then, he made it sound like a position he controlled. I shouldn't need you to put me anywhere, I said. I needed you to stand beside me. I paid my share through the end of the lease. Daniel chose to keep the townhouse and qualified for it alone. Lorraine hired someone to manage her bills, though Daniel told me twice what it cost, as if I might volunteer. Celeste made both payments on time. The repair took 4 weeks. Pete called on a Tuesday afternoon to say the Subaru was ready. The new paint matched. The steering held straight. A faint scratch remained near the passenger door, too shallow to justify replacing the panel. I left it. Pete handed me the keys in a clear envelope. I slipped the brass M over my finger and drove home. My new apartment still smelled like fresh paint and unopened boxes. Evening light came through the front window and caught the folds of the green glass dish. I dropped the keys into it. They landed with one clean, bright sound.